Like this gun, they only shoot straight lines. Can't stop trying to bend the ground I've covered now. And the clock ticks louder when I try to slow down. None can judge the things I've done here. I did what I had to do, and just a little bit more. Rows of faces who could never see me anyhow. I'll hitch to Juno before they figure it out. Can't you hear that last train come rolling? Come carry your days away. Can't you hear the hum times and high times slipping away? Sideways rain won't hurt you. Like memories, it only sharpens time. He had the lost look of an angel in a broken town. And I could just as well have thought to never come around. Love didn't have it in her. Dark and heavy like a twisted child. Spilled the waters of a rough and trashed out sea. Left me running down the frontage road off Highway 3. Can't you hear that last train come rolling? Carry your days away. Can't you hear the hard times and high times slipping away? Can't you hear that last train come rolling? Come to carry your days away. Can't you hear the hard times and high times slipping away? People lie for a reason. Like the law, they make up your mind. Police never found me when I needed them anyhow. And I sure don't need them now.
I've just been dreaming of coming back and playing the Sheridan Opera House at some point during the year, and it's happening.
Well, I was going to say to the audience, if these two sound familiar, it's because they were here last year playing together at Elks Park. An acoustic show, as it turns out. Accidentally acoustic.
Inadvertently acoustic
acoustic show. Due to the power going out.
Thanks
right
to technical difficulties.
Yeah.
It became, I think, far more memorable because of that.
Exactly.
Otherwise it would have just been a show.
Right, it was in the round.
It was
We all surrounded you in the grass, and you spun.
And we spun around slowly. And in fact, we have the drummer here who was there that day with us, who had to pick up his snare drum and
it was impressive.
and circumnavigate the snare head.
It was
throughout.
impressive. Yeah. And then you got your turn on the big stage, of course, the main stage.
Yes, that was incredible. And we got to open. The only time we played the Sheridan Opera House was opening for Mumford & Sons during the Telluride Bluegrass Festival, which led to this long-term friendship. It's been really fun. We've gotten to play on their festivals and open for them at the Ryman and stuff because of that night and getting to know each other.
Excellent. Many friendships start in Telluride.
Oh, yeah. For sure.
So have you been on tour together for a while? How many shows have you done?
Oh goodness.
How many shows?
I can't count them all on my digits.
Are
That's
you,
for
are
sure.
you getting towards the end of your tour here?
We are. This is the last 3 shows of the year for us. Is Telluride, Lions, and Denver, and then we only have a handful next year before we have to start. We'll just start creating new music and thinking about what comes next. If I do, have folks in Telluride that have known my music for a while, they probably knew me as a part of the Sparrow Quartet, which was a chamber grassroots kind of sound. I don't know what you would call it exactly, but like well-crafted kind of visceral compositions and with a heavy bluegrass influence. And then before that, I was in Uncle Earl, and that was an all-girl string band that played pretty much strictly old-time and new words and lyrics to old-time sounding music. So I've definitely been more sort of steadfastly in the traditional and rooted camp. And when all those bands sort of started concluding, I was looking for what to do next, and that's when I saw Kai playing in a indie pop rock, whatever you call it, band in a bar in Nashville, and he was just playing all the instruments on stage, and he just was so passionate and engaged, and I just thought it was really cool, and I wondered what it would be like to make music with somebody like that. And it was exciting to get to come together, and it continues to be. It's been 3 years now.
So Abigail, there are a lot of Cece. I could say Cece here.
You
but
can-
as
yeah,
it is, yeah.
people know.
And you heard somebody coming out of the speakers.
I did. Doc Watson.
Was Doc Watson.
It was Doc Watson.
Picked up the banjo, et cetera, et cetera. And, I'm sure there's compression in the various articles that you read. Suddenly it seems like you started the banjo and then you had a record deal.
That's pretty much how it went. I mean, it's crazy. It really is quite crazy.
So do you have other musical background before the banjo? I mean, it's
I
a
was
hard
always-
instrument.
Yeah, I was always in choir, but I'd always try out for those solos and I'd never get them. I mean, it really didn't have an identity. I didn't think of myself in any way as like a good or, a meaningful musician. I just loved singing in choir. So yeah, the whole switch towards picking up the banjo, thinking I was going to be a lawyer in China, and then getting offered this record deal. Basically within the 3rd week of really playing the banjo.
3 weeks.
I mean, I had it for maybe 2 years and hadn't played it very much.
Nonetheless.
But, yeah, I went on this big road trip and learned music in West Virginia at a fiddler's gathering, and then ended up at the International Bluegrass Music Association convention and jammed basically for the first time with a couple of other girls. And if somebody, an A&R company representative walked by and said, "Come to Nashville and make a record." It was just wild.
Hey kid, you're gonna be a star.
And you guys have another song in you?
Yeah, it would be very fun to share a song that we've written about, I don't know, within the last 2 years. We have this little band we started in Beijing called the Wu Force, which is kind of like a kung fu Appalachian folk rock configuration, I suppose. Usually we play with a guzheng player, a girl from Beijing, on the guzheng, which is like a 21 string zither that you usually hear in like kung fu movies, like, So you're not going to hear that on this song at this moment, but I still think it's kind of a cool thing to share. So this is called Piao, which means floating. So obviously it's in Chinese, and it's based largely on the old jazz from Shanghai from the 30s, as well as Kai's adventures at sea in Tonga.
Wow.
It's a weird one.
I look forward to it.
And the words go, 今早起来没有什么打算，没有什么大计划, which means this morning I woke up, I had not a single care, not a single ambition. I just floated.
And the English part is an old gospel song that I learned from these Tongan fishermen in the island nation of Tonga that didn't speak English, but they taught me this gospel song.
Well, from Tonga to China to Telluride.
Exactly.
Perfect.
Excellent.
Say